Republicans struggling since they've been winning back the House narrowly in their original midterms. Remember all the votes it took to get McCarthy in the job? And then that weakness was soon exploited to oust him for Mike Johnson, an unknown MAGA speaker who now showed his weakness in failing on that high-profile impeachment vote, and Republicans now losing another seat in the Santos special election that Carville mentioned, taking up that vacancy. So do congressional Republicans today know how bad it is? That may sound like a rhetorical question, but the answer for many is yes. One House Republican lamenting, this place, the way the Republicans run it, this place is so broken, explaining a headline that 3 powerful Republican committee chairs are now leaving Congress. And the big jobs that polls literally spend decades trying to get, they're just done. Outie. It's part of a wider exodus of 20 Republican members who are leaving rather than running for re-election this year. The GOP retirement retreat may reflect a range of factors, but some of it's tied to the dysfunction I just mentioned and those local losses, and the Santos seat, which Republicans, remember, had won by 7, even in the red fizzle midterm. That win now reverberating from the political press to Donald Trump's remaining GOP rival for the nomination.
Republicans' grip on the House just got even weaker.
Big day, apparently, for Democrats.
Nikki Haley's campaign also reacted, writing, "Let's just say the quiet part out loud. Donald Trump continues to be a huge weight against Republican candidates."
This race was centered on immigration and the economy, much like the issues all across our country.
Democrat leaning into domestic policy and arguing the party could toughen border security while also still honoring human rights. So here is Democrat, now Congressman Suozzi, basically flipping this issue of immigration and Trump's hold over his party on his Republican opponent at their key debate.
They were so close to getting this deal done, and then President Trump, former President Trump, came in and said, I don't want you to give a victory to Biden. We finally have a chance to have a solution, and we're not going to do it because President Trump said it will help Biden. And the idea that you're not for the bipartisan deal when you say you're so concerned about the border.
Some eyeing that approach as a kind of a model for Democrats this year, noting how the policy agenda was actually a lot more tailored towards voters' daily concerns than, say, the significant but admittedly sometimes abstract discussion of democracy and the rule of law and the most important election ever, which some D.C. Democrats and some of the Biden campaign officials sometimes seem to be emphasizing. Now, the caveat is, of course, it's one special election in one idiosyncratic congressional district held on a snow day, as Politico put it. It is the first House result of a presidential election year. It's not the last. And both parties have long watched special elections as a kind of indicator. And that's just the House. You look beyond Congress, and there's one key state to any Biden coalition, Pennsylvania, where Democrats just had another big win. They've been cleaning up in special elections since the Supreme Court overturned Roe, winning victories in governor's races and ballot initiatives, decisive wins and large turnout wherever choice seems to be on the ballot, including in swing states like Michigan and red states like Ohio, Kansas, and Kentucky, as you can see just some examples there post-Roe. So there are some tough wins for Republicans, both on the ground and in the congressional races, and that's why the best indicator of this is not what the parties say or the spin, but that tonight so many Republicans are just retiring rather than running again for a House race, House seat, while Trump is on the ballot, likely, if he wins the nomination. None of that will predict how our obscure, odd, antiquated electoral college will go in November, and none of it cancels out the deep skepticism for both parties' top candidates right now. If you get out of politics land and out of D.C., you can check the polling, the data, or just talk to anybody in any normal place, and you will find what we've told you, that most people want other options. Rarely do we head into a race where majorities say they prefer other options for both likely nominees of the parties. But that's where we are, and depending on what the parties do, we might very likely have a presidential race with Biden and Trump as the nominees. So you take it all together, and you can't say that Democrats doing well on the ground means their Democratic leader, President Biden, is any kind of shoo-in. What you can say is, over and over, especially since the overturning of Roe, the public in places red, purple, blue, green, anywhere you go, keeps picking Democrats over the alternative.